And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Put your thumbs up and say it's Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo, Tickety Boo, everything's Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo, son. Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo!
Hello and welcome to Tickety Boo. Today we're talking about that strange, unsettling feeling that comes when you're finally growing. And it doesn't feel how you thought it would when you start speaking up, setting those boundaries, or prioritising yourself for the first time. It doesn't always feel that empowering. Sometimes it feels wrong. But maybe that's not because you're doing it wrong. Maybe it's because you're finally doing it differently. So Iona, have you ever made a healthy change but then felt a bit guilty for it?
Yeah. I would say the biggest healthy changes I have made, it was like in saying no to that line of cocaine or going to the parties less, drinking less. Those were all healthy changes. But at the time, that was also part of the identity and what I was doing and how I was having fun. But there wasn't space to do everything. And also when I became a mother, I was making healthier choices. But it was also, I couldn't maintain that lifestyle, be a mum, and then go on to have my own business. Like there's not enough room in the day.
But did that guilt come from saying no? Because you felt like you were rejecting that community, that tribe that you were doing it with, that I don't want to be part of this,
It wasn't really, I didn't want to be part of it. I did get FOMO. There's,
right.
The fear of missing out. And also because these were and are my friends.
Right.
And also of my friends, I was the first one to have a child.
Yeah.
As well. And so, I can't go out because I have a child I'm responsible for. But really, I'd say my health it was those choices. And it was more, I think possibly my guilt was particularly initially, I wanted to be there rather than necessarily stay home and be mum.
So I think a lot of people that struggle with this is because they've spent a lot of their life being passive. And confidence or stepping up and saying no kind of feels like you've sort of been arrogant at some kind of level, or assertive can feel like being aggressive.
Yeah.
No, I don't want that for me. Or self-care. I need to put my needs first. Oh, I'm selfish. Yeah. They think I'm selfish.
Yeah. And I think a lot of my struggle was because my identity was the party girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to be the party girl. I used to be able to sniff cocaine out, just like that. Yeah, so I was the party girl. So then who was I if I'm not?
Yeah, so leaving that party girl behind in the past, shredding that identity, that must have felt strange.
Yeah, it did. And I think, and also for me, I was struggling. This is the main area I'm talking about here was with being a mum. I also suffered from postnatal depression because my expectations of how I should be a mum were unobtainable. But it was, so I had a lot of conflicting emotions going on, and I'm sure there's a lot of women listening and maybe their partners who are hearing, it's that like when you're trying to make changes for the betterment of the people you're taking care of.
Yeah.
And then also, but you want to do that and then feeling guilty because you want to be somewhere else. I mean, I didn't know I was going to bring motherhood into this when we were discussing this topic. It wasn't where I thought we'd go. But we lose some part of our identity. And I know, and I think the reason there's been a rise in postnatal depression is we have an identity, party girl, working hard, like doing all those things. And then suddenly I'm neither of those things. I'm a mum. I'm staying at home and it's not going according to plan and I can't get them on a schedule and I'm not sleeping. And then, so it was all out with my control. And so I had a loss of identity. And so in that time, trying to make healthy choices and before anyone says, no, I didn't partake in any parties, anything whilst I was pregnant at all. So it wasn't that like it was a sudden like, oh no, I can't have it. That was an easy choice.
Right.
But then when it was like, oh, now what do I do? Now I'm no longer pregnant. I'm a mother. And then what I am. And then later on, I didn't go self-employed until much later. But again, making these choices, it's really hard. I have always had conflict of desire when I'm making these choices. How about you?
Yeah, I thought, oh, I'm now going to choose to not abandon myself. I'm going to stop people pleasing, or I'm going to stop abandoning my own needs. And it felt awful. Doing the right thing felt awful. And it's because I spent way too much of my life avoiding conflict, shrinking myself down.
That identity.
Yeah, completely over-functioning to stay safe. So when I said no, or I went, I'm not going to people please, my first response was never the right response. So actually putting that pause button in to go for the second response, that felt like I was putting up this massive rebellion.
Yeah.
Because I used to believe if I was uncomfortable, I was doing something wrong. But what I was really doing was stepping out of that role that I'd been stuck in for years. And that's why you feel guilty.
Yeah, I remember the first time saying no to a line of cocaine. We were at a party, it was lots of fun. It was actually a daytime one. And I was like, well, no, because I'm going home. I've got my son. And it was really interesting. I think everybody around me was probably more shocked than I was.
Because party girl suddenly doesn't want
It's
to
like, what do you mean?
party.
Like, Iona never says no. So it was really interesting, and it can feel hard to make those good decisions. Obviously, I had responsibilities, so for me, it was really easy. Like, I have somewhere I have to be.
Well, you
I
were
have to be
different.
there. Yeah.
You were different because life needed you
Yeah.
to be different. And that can be hard for sometimes the other people
Yeah.
to comprehend, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think when you start to heal and you do the work and growth happens and it feels uncomfortable, part of that discomfort is actually that people won't come on that journey with you. They'll get left behind, and you feel bad for leaving that WhatsApp group or checking out of the family chat group or not turning up to that social engagement, deciding not to hang out with those people anymore because of the way that they make you feel. And you can feel guilt for that.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because that's actually a sign of healing.
Yeah. And so how, for our listeners, how have you or did you process that guilt in your journey of change?
I had to sit in it. I had to sit in it.
That old chestnut again.
Yeah, and that sitting in it was the chaos of the unlearning phase of everything that I'd learnt in my life to do. So natural means people please. Oh, there's a problem. I'll run. I'll go fix it. I'll make them happy. I'll do this. I'll do that. And you're like, oh. And then you sit there and go, God, this feels so counterintuitive, sitting here and not doing, sit in the discomfort. So I had to unlearn the chaos whilst feeling guilty, fear of they won't like me anymore. And that's the hard part. People just think, oh, right, I'm healing now. I'm going to ride off into the sunset and everything's going to be beautiful and blissful. And the reality is, it's not like that. But there's another side to it as well, because I'm not trying to put people off from growth and healing. There is another part of it where it feels like nothing.
Yeah.
You literally don't feel anything. And you're just going about life and they just think, well, I'm not actually changing. So you kind of come back to this place of sort of indifference. But healing is still happening in those moments as well, because if you've always been anxious, avoidant, chase, overwhelmed, stressed, appeasing, people-pleasing, overthinking the situation, then you're just in this place of just nothingness.
Well, and coming from there, so has there been a time where you have chosen growth, but it actually felt like it was the wrong thing to do, but it ended up being the best thing you could have done?
Yes, but it involved me having to do the hardest thing I've ever done, which was letting people down. No, not letting people down, choosing to put what I needed first, which felt wrong. It it didn't feel good for me. Actually putting my needs first, going, I always say this to my clients, self-care is not selfish.
Yeah.
It can come across as selfish, and especially if you're somebody that's never prioritized you first, everyone's going to be going, what's the matter with them? Why are they not doing this and doing that? So yeah, it was definitely that element of, I go back to this all the time, saying no.
Yeah.
Placing yourself first. I would feel guilty about cancelling plans because I felt like I owed people a part of me. I felt like I had to be constantly available. But in reality, I owed myself rest and my own space. I think, it is sucky, that element of doing the right thing.
Yeah. And there's so many areas to growth, isn't there? So it's like, for you, it's choosing yourself first. For me, it's been choosing the healthier lifestyle. And it can come in all sort of shapes and sizes because, again, as we've talked about, I think in the last couple of episodes, we've talked about choosing to make a choice and change your situation. There's no way I could have grown a business or written books if I hadn't started making different choices.
So what habits did you have to let go of then?
I had to let go, obviously, of the partying aspect, but that in itself was easy because I was choosing to be home for my son, particularly once he was a teenager and wasn't being as sociable. I had to let go. For me, rather than it was letting people down, it was more, the fear of missing out. I cared more about my son than the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
So letting go of that. But then also, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers will maybe relate to this, as you start going to things less and less, for somebody who's incredibly outgoing and sociable, people stop inviting you, and they're not being malicious or mean.
Yeah.
So that fear of missing out actually sort of started manifesting in, oh yeah, like I'm missing out. I'm not being invited to these things. And because a lot of the people that I hung around with back in the day, they're not all doing all those things. So let's not pretend that it's all rock and roll 24/7. Like
so part of making a decision not to go to the thing, to do the thing,
whatever the thing might be.
The pearl of wisdom to people listening to this is that it is completely normal that you'll find yourself overthinking that decision.
Completely.
Yeah.
And you'll come at it from, I know I'm making the healthy choice. Oh, but what if? Oh, I know I'm not missing out on anything. Oh, but what? It's that, like, that fear and that connection and being okay with it and being comfortable being with yourself and the choices you're making, which we talked about in the previous episode as well.
Because that discomfort is progress.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not feeling uncomfortable, then nothing's changing.
Yeah. Growth is about discomfort and moving out of those old patterns, but it feels wrong because actually what you're doing in that moment is reprogramming your nervous system. Your nervous system needs to learn to feel safe in completely uncharted territory. Yeah. And that confusion, that real programming, it happens in real time. So you don't get time to really sort of rehearse for it. It's like, boom, I'm in it now and I need to deal with it. So a bit of a reflection question for you guys that are watching and listening and for us here in the studio recording. What are you learning, or what have you learned to tolerate in yourself? What are you so used to running from? It's a big question, I tolerated in myself not making myself the priority, not making my needs, unmeeting my needs constantly, and I would run from communicating that to other people. That I'm sorry, this doesn't work for me because of this and that and all the rest of it. So I would pull back in those moments. What about you?
Tolerating, what I had to put up with was, in making those choices, I had to give up. I'm not even talking excessive partying. It's like, I can't read if I've had a glass of wine. when I was studying and I went back to university, like I can't party because the recoveries as I get older takes so much longer. So I was, back when you're in your 20s and can get up and go to work and do whatever the next day on very little sleep. Can't do that anymore. So I had to allow that if I want to change. So the tolerating was actually, I had to learn to stop tolerating my own patterns because that was my coping mechanism.
Yeah. And this growth, it's like baby steps, isn't it? It's got to be tiny things, not this big, massive crescendo. It's every uncomfortable moment that you decide to stay in and move through that keeps you moving forwards. And that can start with the smallest of no's.
Yeah.
There was a phrase I saw on social media the other day and I thought it was great. No does not require an explanation.
That is so true.
Would you like to come to this? No. Now, I'm not saying, be cold-hearted, but no, because I need some time off, or I've been working really hard and I just need some me time, and not actually having to justify that that's important and that's valuable to it. I mean, I can remember the first time I said no to something, and afterwards my hands were shaking.
Oh.
That was that. But that moment for me, after I got through it and nobody died and the universe, kept on rotating, it was like I felt like I learned a new superpower.
Yeah. I love that we're both coming at this from slightly different perspectives because our audience, people listening and watching, is so varied. You could be like listening to this with your partner and going, "Oh yeah, I agree with Iona, or I agree with Andy." The thing is, it's not a one size fixes all. There's no right or wrong. It's up to you how you choose to grow or not grow.
Yeah.
And what you choose to give up or not give up, what you're choosing to tolerate. Again, it's about what you're choosing. That is your choice.
Yeah. And I think because all the highlight reels on social media and, this sort of toxic culture we have of growth and positivity now, growth doesn't always feel good. And if you're going into it expecting it to feel good, the second it doesn't, you will stop. You will step away from it. It feels like loss. It feels like guilt. It feels like chaos. But that's what happens when you start breaking away from what you were conditioned to be. And as you start becoming yourself, it's almost like if you're so used to sitting down and writing with your right hand, you now got to pick up a pen with the left hand. It feels alien and it feels weird and it feels uncomfortable. But that is really what growth is about. It's like you've never been to the gym and you've gone and hired a PT instructor because you want to get into shape. And that first session when they take you through the training program, it sucks.
And you were hoping for quick results, and they don't happen after one session.
No, they don't. You'll ache, you'll be out of breath, you maybe feel a bit sick, but it gets easier as you go, and you have to stay focused on why am I doing this? You have to go through it to create the growth, but it is those baby steps. It's not one giant moment. It's that tiny decision to say no without an explanation, putting your priorities your needs.
And you can you can see the growth when you look back. Hindsight's brilliant. It's brilliant in hindsight, but you can actually see where those choices have led you to now.
Yeah,
where prioritizing, for me, some of the learnings and the growth by prioritizing that over a weekend out has led to my growth. Staying in to write because I've got a deadline for my book, or I've got to keep my voice because I'm doing the audiobook. Choosing to stay in because I'm building something, and you can look back and go, yeah, I did it. That's what I had to do to get to here.
And it very often looks like changing your mind.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I had a client the other day who said to me, I was triggered by something, and I went, and she said, I'm going home and I'm having a glass of wine. And she was heading home. She's like, that's what old me would have done. So she went and grabbed the kids and they went to the park and they did something active. Another client the other day said to me, I've decided to go back to work, but it doesn't feel right. And she goes, but when I was driving here today, I've decided that I'm not going to go back because I need more time. So sometimes you'll make a choice, and actually changing your mind, although it feels uncomfortable, that is part of your growth as well. So it's not about always getting it right. It's recognizing when you're about to get it wrong and doing things differently, and just lean into the discomfort anyway. Which kind of leads us to where we're going to go in the next episode, because as part of growth, we need to stop punishing ourselves.
We do.
And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in the next episode, which is it's time to stop punishing yourself. So thanks for watching this bite-sized episode of Tickety Boo. As always, on Apple or Spotify, click that subscribe button. And if you're watching us on YouTube, click that bell icon so you get notified when we release new episodes. Thank you very much for watching.
If you or someone close to you needs to access mental health support, please contact your GP, or if it's out with normal office hours, get in touch with NHS 24 on 111. Alternatively, contact the Samaritans on 116 123. All calls are free of charge from any phone. You can also find more support information on the Tickety Boo website, ticketyboopodcast.co.uk.